Hey everybody, welcome back. We are doing another equestrian live stream this evening. We have Megan from Lindinhof on board again this evening. Thanks for coming, Megan. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone.
Oh, usually your audio is goofy for me on StreamYard for a second or two, and I got to turn up my volume. Make sure it's not too loud, but I want to thank you again for coming this evening for another live stream.
Yay! We'll have a blast.
It's going to be fun. So I'm sure YouTube may or may not have turned on its advertising, but I will guarantee those who are coming back to catch this, when it posts again to, hey Connor, when it posts again to YouTube, they will put on their videos and their ads. So I appreciate those who are going to watch it with the advertising on. It helps support the channel. And just a reminder for those, and I'll say it a couple times throughout our chat, but if you have questions to ask Megan, you can use the chat feature, the live chat feature here in YouTube. We are on a bit of a delay, Megan and I, because we're doing this through StreamYard. It probably takes, I think it takes 30 to 60 seconds for it to finally show up for us on the chat, but I will do my best to put those on the screen and have Megan attempt to answer any questions you might have. And hey, big shout out. Thank you so much, Connor. And we're getting to it. Thank you. We do have if you want to support the channel, we have the super chat and super sticker options. Connor, thank you so much. You guys get a chance, check out Connor's channel, Connor JC. He is an awesome friend of mine from the UK. He is unfortunately, like the rest of us, due to this pandemic, on a bit of a hiatus from his job, but he's got a freaking amazing channel. So check him out. Appreciate it, Connor. Thank you so much for dropping in.
Yay!
We're going to leave your super sticker up there so people can check you out and hopefully subscribe to your channel because you are awesome. And Connor, I am coming to steal my sloth mug. And he'll know what I'm talking about. But hello, Irish Jane Lawyer. Thank you so much for coming in. So again, we've got our guest here is Megan from Lindinhof. And Megan, tonight we are doing another, obviously, equestrian themed live stream. And we've hit on a couple of firsts in recent times. And tonight we are talking about first riding clinic experiences, right?
Right.
So that can be intimidating, really scary. And there's two scenarios for a first clinic experience. You can either be fortunate to, hey, Connor says hello.
Hey, Connor.
You can be fortunate enough to have the clinic to your farm so that you're at where you're already comfortable, your horse is home, where you're used to riding, or you can have a first clinic where your horse are heading off your normal property, wherever you have your horse, and take lessons, and you might be going to a new barn. And so that's a whole addition to a first clinic experience. So we've got some stuff. Hey, Nikki Gaming, thanks so much. Megan, say hello.
Yay!
Thank you. Don't forget, if you can, hit the thumbs up for us. We appreciate you. And don't forget to support Connor. He's supporting tonight's live stream with a super sticker. We appreciate that so much. So anyway, so lots of scary things can for first clinic experiences. So there are many ways we could go into this. You got any opening comments before I start hammering you with questions?
I think we're all ready for a clinic. Whenever I hear people talk to people, they're like, "Oh, I got a month to plan. I gotta ride more. I gotta do this." It's a great learning experience. You're going there to learn. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. There is no prep other than the packing and to go. And it's a great prep for going to a horse show. So I think it's a great stepping stone into horse showing, which we talked about, I think, our last session. So, and just treat it as a horse show. Then you have a great idea how your horse is going to behave at a horse show, and you'll know what to expect. So lay it on me.
Absolutely. So I guess we're kind of under the assumption that somebody who's going to go to a first clinic is probably at some point taking somewhat maybe regular lessons, maybe weekly, maybe every other week, but has somewhat of a regular schedule. They're riding their horse fairly regularly, and they're at least getting some somewhat regular instruction. But, it depends on their schedule. I mean, it could be, a 4-H student or pony club student who maybe doesn't get a whole ton of regular instruction, but maybe they're enrolled in 4-H or pony club, like we mentioned, and this could be that first experience in that regard, or could be anything similar to that. But like you said, very similar to a first horse show. So how do you talk to your students about their first experience riding for someone other than yourself?
I tell them it's just like a lesson with me. Obviously I'm not the instructor, but there should be the same setup. They should come in, already be warmed up for 10 minutes, be ready to go when their ride time is, and then let the clinician know if there's something that they would like to work on. If not, tell the clinician that they're open-minded and ready to work on anything that they've missed. And then expect, to give that clinician 10 to 15 minutes that you walk, trot, canter. That clinician can see what you're working on, how you warm up, and then, be ready to work. Usually, clinics are more intense than your average lesson. I think it's great because then you can be pushed. And if you have a trainer that you're working with or an instructor that you're working with, they're there, hopefully they're there watching. And it's great to see what another instructor would work on with your student and see how much they push your student. And then your student can also, you yourself who's going to the clinic, can realize how much more you can really do, because it's someone who's not biased and who will push you. And then in the end, plan for a closing, and if there's any questions, and try to keep your ride on time. I think that's also important for the organizer as well as the clinician. If you are planning to have questions, have those questions be a part of your ride time. Or if the clinic participants go to dinner, at dinner, or during lunch, have further conversation.
So,
uh-oh, I'm losing you.
Uh-oh, are you losing the internet? So we should tell everybody we are both experiencing storms where we live.
Yeah.
So it could be, we could get we could get wiped if we lose power. We could end up, the stream could drop. So we should mention that we are both experiencing bad weather, and hopefully we won't lose our internet connections, or power, but we'll see. Hello to Gabby and Mummy. Thank you so much for coming in. Check out Gabby and Mummy. She's got a great channel. She's a friend of mine. And we got Connor, a little comment. Yeah, stay safe. Yeah. Well, I think the worst weather is supposed to be far enough away from where I am. I don't know about you, Megan, but I'm hoping it sounds like it's just going to be some heavy rain, maybe some wind. But anyway, getting back to what you had just said, I have all these thoughts racing through questions, but so let's talk about maybe somebody who does a lot of, maybe they're at a boarding barn, not necessarily a training barn such as yours, and maybe they're used to just riding, it could be a large boarding barn that maybe there's 2 or 3 riding lesson instructors, and they might take a lesson a week or a lesson every other week, and they just kind of come to their lesson. So one of the things that I always think about is, you know, when you're bringing in a clinician or you're going to a clinician, you know, I always try to remind people to kind of step up their game as to what they're like a horse show. You don't have to wear show clothes, but your preparation, you need to be, you know, neat, tidy. All your gear should be clean. Your clothes should be clean. Of course, my horses always manage to like wipe slobber across like my shoulder,
Oh
blow
yeah.
their nose on the side of my face, or, you know, but, you know, do the best you can to be neat and tidy, but also make sure your tack is neat and clean, and safe, and try not to remember things. So that's something I think, you know, obviously if you're packing and going to a facility, you need to remember to pack these things. But, you know, if you're, maybe you get fortunate and a clinician's coming into wherever you board your horse, you do not kind of need to remember that, you know, it's kind of polite to dress nice and neat. Part of that, Megan, you know, USDF certified instructor, you can speak to the need to have properly fitting clothes, because, you know, you're looking to identify maybe crookedness in the rider, you know, deficiencies in the way they're sitting on the horse, you know, and so for them to be in, you know, not tight clothes, but, you know, nice fitting clothes to where you can see maybe they're riding with one shoulder is way back and they're a little twisted in their pelvis or something. It makes it easier for you to see and possibly address. So, you know, can you speak a little on that? I mean, what do you speak to your clients about, or what would you recommend? Maybe not necessarily your clients. Your clients are probably pretty used to something similar, but maybe you are the clinician for some junior young riders.
For sure.
You're pep for them.
For sure. You definitely want to wear a polo. If it's cooler, wear an, you know, a turtleneck, a tight shirt, and a vest, a belt, and definitely have your shirt tucked in. So that way the clinician can see your riding position. Sometimes when people wear billowing shirts, we can't see if your back is hollow. That's really important to make sure that your abs are engaged. Also, it's distracting, and we don't want to be distracted, you know, because of clothing. Definitely come in with a helmet, be wearing a helmet, wear gloves, you know, pretend it is like a horse show. You definitely want to, you know, give respect to the clinician. They're giving their time, so come in professionally. Definitely clean your tack, make sure your tack is fitting well, the saddle pads are clean. I don't mind so much boots, but make sure the boots are clean. However, some clinicians do expect white polo wrap. You know, so definitely make sure, and that the Velcro still sticks if you have bell boots.
Sure.
Brush your horse's mane and tail. We all understand if you have a gray horse, they always roll for sure. If it's a symposium, um, please braid your horse. But usually the organizers have already asked that. I think generally for a clinician, you don't need to braid, but definitely brush the mane. Make sure there's no shavings. You know, brush your horse. Make sure there's no manure or large stains. It would be great if you could bathe your horse before. However, if it's winter, it's not going to happen. And we all understand that, but you know, just out of respect for the clinician, they're giving you their time. And also there's auditors. We want to represent the sport well, but you don't have to go overboard, you know, in a relaxed manner. So yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you. Thank you for supporting. Everybody check out the channel. Data is amazing. He has some awesome videos. His channel is all about data and statistics and things like that. So sorry to interrupt, Megan. We want to thank the supporters, those who are supporting the live stream. So we'll leave that sticker up so that people can check out his channel. That's Data is Amazing. So, so back to what you were saying. You've got some great points.
Yeah, so definitely come prepared. Also, come with backup equipment. You know, if you ride with spurs, maybe your horse is hot and sensitive and you need a small spur, or be ready to take off your spurs. You know, if you don't know what your horse is going to be like, definitely come the day before and lunge or hand walk in the arena and then ride. If your horse is younger or it's just simply hot and you need to lunge, ask the organizer if you can lunge before the clinic starts, or usually we like to start with a nicely dragged arena. So maybe there's a second arena, or they could put you at lunch, which is a great opportunity too, because there may be people around. There may be chairs, and your horse can check out the chairs if you need a hand walk. So definitely be thinking about those things.
Mhm.
Oh,
For alert, yeah, you're sort of there. I hope we don't lose each other. We'll try. Just as for those who are just joining us, we are both under some bad weather, and we're both worried that we're going to lose our internet or our power. Well, hopefully we'll survive this. But so banners on the side of the arena. If your horse is used to that, or flowers,
terrifying.
Arena, people, kids, chairs, all that.
Corner of death.
Yeah, the corner of death. The other thing is maybe where, a lot of people may not have, their horses may not be used to hearing like a loudspeaker.
Very
sound system. That can be very unnerving for a horse to hear that when they're not used to that, especially if it's crackling. And so coming a little early and getting to experience that.
That, or if your horse really doesn't like that, you could bring a headset. Like I have a separate pair of headsets. However, if you don't have a headset, it's great. You can bring your phone. Maybe the clinician can call you on your phone, and you could have like AirPods or a headset for your phone. And then that way you can, unfortunately, the auditors won't be able to hear, or maybe they will. Or it's a clinician, their voice really carries. But think about those things too, because those things happen, and it's such a great learning experience for your horse, and it's such a great confidence builder for your horse as well as yourself.
Yeah, and it can often be a stepping stone to the horse show experience, because most clinics are not huge, and a symposium is one thing, but a clinic, but it can be a way to introduce a larger crowd to chairs, the crackling noises of, like we mentioned, a sound system, without being at the full-blown horse show. That is a nice experience.
It's a great experience. And hopefully that clinician, if there is something that happens, hopefully that clinician is able to help you and your horse through whatever you need help with. If the horse is nervous, and just to take that little extra time and work through it. Uh-oh.
So this is a question. Uh-oh. Am I losing you?
Yeah. Oh, come on.
I can see you.
You can see me. Can you hear me? Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
There's like a delay.
Yeah. That happens. So it's raining where I'm at. So how do you talk through, say, it's a little hard because you have a training barn. For those who haven't joined our live stream, you have a training barn, and you have a number of obviously full-time students. But let's take a step back, and let's say you're mentoring a group of pony clubbers or 4-H students. So maybe they don't, they're not in your barn, but maybe they're taking regular lessons with you. How do you recommend, when they start looking at potential clinicians, do you recommend they just sign up? Do you recommend, hey, do a little research? Because it could be somebody like, hey, somebody said they're bringing this clinician in and I've never heard of them, but they said I should ride. What do you think? It's not always, an internationally famous person coming to clinic. So,
I think if your trainer knows the individual and has seen them, but maybe you haven't, and they recommend that you go and ride, definitely take the opportunity, because some clinicians don't get the opportunity of coming back, and you don't want to miss that opportunity. However, if it's a substantial amount of money, definitely go and watch and make sure that they're in alignment with your system, your program. Because sometimes clinicians and riders don't mesh well, and maybe you can go and watch and you can determine that, and then maybe you'll be super excited to ride with them, and then maybe you won't. I have different types of clinicians. Like, I have a body awareness clinician that comes in twice a year. There's also riding instructors that come, and also there's in hand work. A clinician can come in and just work on in hand work, and it depends on what your need is, and so that you might want to just watch, that you'll get more from watching, but you definitely don't want to miss an opportunity, because sometimes they don't come back.
yeah.
So be open to that.
You touched on a couple of key things that I wanted to make sure we sort of talk about is, it can be very, obviously, as we mentioned, intimidating to ride with a strange instructor in front of, and every time you find a new riding instructor, you're going to have that first riding experience with them. But a clinic situation could be somebody you've never ridden with, but you're adding in the fact there's an audience, so that adds to the stress of it. But a point you brought up, oftentimes maybe you just don't mesh, like you said, with the teaching style of the clinician, or you may discover you don't understand or agree with their methodology. So, it's definitely important, if you can, like you mentioned, to go in, and we call it auditing, right?
Yep.
Watch, if you can, a clinician before you sign up. I certainly have. I've had both experiences in my riding past. I've signed up to ride with people who I've never ridden with before, and really never seen them in person teach. And I've also watched clinicians a few times before, dipping my toe in the pond, actually riding with them. And,
Yep.
It's ill to get a chance to see them in person, but it's not always, it doesn't always happen.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so this is a tough question, and put you on the spot, Megan. This one's a tough one.
Let's do it.
What do you recommend if someone is in the clinic and maybe they're, halfway or 3/4 of the way through the ride, and it's not going well?
Yeah.
It's devolving. It's becoming a disaster. It's potentially going to cause training problems with the horse. It's oil and water. How do you talk to your students about how they kind of gracefully say, I think we're done?
For sure. For sure. I tell them, if it's not going well, to stop. And, tell the clinician, A, you don't feel comfortable, and B, is there another option? And if the clinician totally disagrees, maybe argumentative or combative, then you just say, just like a test, say, I'm sorry, this isn't working. Thank you for your time, and then be done. You know your horse the best. And if it isn't safe, it isn't going to help you in the future, then stop. And I always say, you can also learn by knowing what not to do. And so that is worth your time and money. If you've hit a limit in your horse or yourself, then you know what your limit is, and then you know not to go past it. And so, it may be disappointing at first when you're at a clinic, you've spent the time, you've spent the money, and it's not working out, but now you know what not to do. And that's okay. That's okay.
It's always a learning experience. And I think I've seen a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm too embarrassed. I got to ride through this clinic. It's too embarrassing to have to say that we don't get along. And, what is everybody going to say? They're going to say, they brought in this big person and everybody else rides with this person and, blah, blah. I always say, the welfare of the horse and yourself and your relationship is worth more than the money you've spent to ride. And you don't want to undo that.
Oh,
so
for sure. And, there are options. If you have a friend, maybe they want to take the other ride. You could, maybe if you have another option of a different horse, you could change horses. If it's completely, personality and that you'll never work together, then that's unfortunate, but move on. So what?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't be afraid, like you're saying, speak out for the welfare of your horse and that. So hi guys, hi Dino family, hi Natalia, and Denise. So
Hi, Denise.
Thanks. A quick shout out to some of our guests. So before we continue, just wanted to remind everybody, if you have questions for Megan, go ahead, ask them in the live stream chat. We'll do the best to up the here, and we'll see if answer. We are both, Megan and I are both experiencing and a little shaky with our internet connection. So we're trying to keep the stream going, but we both kind of warbled in and out a little, but so far so good.
Oh well.
So yeah. So what personally, what is the farthest distance that you're willing to travel to do? We'll just say like a weekend clinic.
I've gone to Minnesota, so I think that was 5 hours. And now I'm very lucky I can host clinics. But at that time that was 20 years ago, and I did not have the luxury. We didn't have the technology that we have now, and the access to the knowledgeable people that we have here. So yeah, 5 hours. That was a trek.
Yeah. Because it's exhausting. And then usually a clinic experience is pretty intense for the horse and rider. So that's something to consider and if you do, it's not to say not to go to a clinic that's farther away, but probably put in some extra travel time, travel time. Maybe try to get there a day earlier than you might normally to let the horse rest and settle in. And yeah, and the other thing is, what about maybe it's a clinic, it's within a day trip for somebody where they don't, maybe the facility doesn't have enough stalls to keep horses overnight, so you're kind of back and forth. What do you kind of recommend people, like, as far as they should maybe consider home for a day, a back and forth for a weekend?
30 minutes to an hour at most. I've done that. I don't recommend that, but totally understand. Again, our country is so big, and trying to get access to great, knowledgeable people to work with is really hard. So whenever I can, if I can keep my horse at the facility, I always ask, pay extra for it, because it's their shavings and their time. If they, and definitely for etiquette, if you can, clean the stall, keep the area that you use organized and free of debris, because auditors are coming in, and it's a reflection on their their barn. So definitely, if you can, help them out.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the farthest I've done in a trailering for a day clinic, and just to remember how hard it is on a horse to trailer them. Standing in the trailer, I've heard people say it's like trotting in place. The whole, you're hard on them, so you start to really adjust the horse more than like minutes or so in a trailer. Putting 45-minute to 1 hour disciplines where they do audited or watched longer clinics, and they've been group rides because it was jumping, and these would be like, each group would be like, it would be like 2 hours to 2.5 hours in the ring.
That's a long time.
It would be a group of 6 or 7 riders, and so there were breaks, periodic breaks, but it was intense. It was really intense. So for what we're talking about, we're talking more of a one-on-one experience with a rider and horse, and then the clinician. So there are sometimes for clinics where they will do maybe two riders. And that's totally understandable. Especially, I think you see it a lot when you're like the juniors are maybe clinicking. Age,
or young horses, if you have young horses. Yeah. But most of the time, it's about a 45-minute lesson that I've seen. A lot of the clinicians that I've hired, they don't want group lessons. They want to do one-on-one. So
yeah. So on that discussion, it is really good etiquette to make sure yourself and your horse are fit for an intense 45-minute, hour riding experience with a clinician, because it is I don't want to say the wrong word, but the clinician is there to teach you, not to have you stop them every 5 minutes because you need another 5-minute break because you're totally out of shape. Yeah. So, you're going to likely be paying more money maybe than you're used to paying for a lesson for clinic experience. You make sure to do this, and it's going to cost you times what you normally pay for a lesson. You want to make sure you and your horse are fit and prepared for it. So how's your internet, Megan?
It's going in and out. Sorry. Yeah, you definitely want. I don't know what I'm on. No idea. I'm not technology savvy. I'm not prepared. Sorry, guys. I'm better with horses. But yeah, you definitely want to be fit and ready to go. But the other thing is, too, be comfortable if you've learned something and maybe, you're done. Like, so for me, sometimes, like, I have multiple clinicians coming in and I want to work on something with the horse. And if I get the right feeling, and we've worked on a few exercises, like, I've found my money's worth. Like, I don't have to go the full hour or full 45 minutes if I'm working on something and I specifically have the clinician come in. So be comfortable with that too, but definitely be fit and ready to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you make a magical breakthrough, one of the key things of training horses is know when to stop.
Yeah.
If you have an amazing breakthrough, that's really, Megan, in your everyday horse, it makes like an everyday breakthrough. You don't just keep drilling them for the next 25 minutes because you derive an amount of time. It's like if they have learned something, it's quit while you're ahead. Reward, right?
Exactly. Oh, and the other thing we should talk about is the fees. And why it costs more, because that clinician is coming from out of town, and they have a day fee. that may be higher than our instructor at home, our local instructor, but then you're also maybe paying for airfare, maybe paying for transportation, you know, by car. You're their time away from their business. And then the organizer also, you know, it depends. Like myself, you know, I'm taking time away from my business that I could be making money, and I want to be educated. So that energy is being put towards that. And also the food, you know, there's lunches 2 days, there's shavings. If you don't pay for the shavings, there's the cost of the stall. And so a lot of times I bring in well-known clinicians, and I'm paying them for their knowledge, and they're very expensive. And so it's not only their fees, it's the airfare or transportation, the food. Dinner is very expensive if you go out to dinner, you know, and they usually want a beverage, and sometimes they want three, and you don't say no. So when people, you know, look at some of my clinics that I hold, a lot of times I'm barely breaking even. And I look at it as, but it's for my own education. So a lot of times I'm actually paying for people to ride in my clinic, which isn't profitable, but it's more about the education. And so when people complain about the price, please think about, you know, what you're getting as well. So think about that. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Absolutely. You've got the facility is taking time away from potentially their boarders being able to use their own facility. If they've got, you know, if it's a training barn, they're training students. There's insurance. There's the cost, obviously, the day fee, as you mentioned, for the clinician. There's all the travel expenses, airfare, hotel, their meals. You know, ground transportation, there's all that. So yeah, it shouldn't be that the farm is subsidizing your ride. So
yeah,
something, you know,
please definitely think
to consider.
about that.
So maybe, you know, yeah, and more well-known, higher, you know, more famous clinicians are going to be substantially more. And your first clinic is riding with a, you know, internationally famous clinician, but you know, work up to it someday, right?
May not be, maybe. Aspire. A lot of my students, actually, their first clinicians are, because I have the clinician come in and I want them to work with the best. So also don't avoid working with the best, but also make sure you know what you're going to work on. If you're just coming off the lunge line, you know, maybe working with the body awareness clinician is a better avenue versus the international one. But if you know, I think also wanting to work with the best clinician is always important, but you never know who's the best for you, who's going to be the best fit. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, when you're signing up for your first clinic, you know, make sure you're prepared, just like signing up for a horse show. Have your Coggins, have proof of vaccines. Make sure you send in a check, you know, that you're paying, and you know, ask the rules as well, because I've hosted a lot of clinics like you have, and people like to back out, and that clinic organizer is organizing the clinic and hoping that we can all pay for one clinician. And so if you back out or you don't pay, really, and someone else takes your spot, who's going to pay? Remember that, because it's really, really hard to organize a clinic. So make sure you thank your organizer. It's a lot. And a lot of times it's really not fun. I sometimes have a lot of people that have a lot of demands and that they want to ride all at the same time. You know, everyone always wants to come in late on the first day, and they all want to ride first the second day so they can leave. And we can't all ride at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. And so please, you know, ask, but you may not get it. and ask how you can help as well, because it's really hard to host a clinic.
Absolutely. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, keeping the area, if you're keeping your horse in the barn, clinician, you know, wherever it's going to be at, if you're traveling to a barn, you know, keeping the stall clean and your tack area neat. But, you know, it also it's to not making a mess and then walk away from it. I see we're flipping in and out a little bit with the whole internet here. You know, it's courtesy, and not only that, but be kind to the staff of the farm where you are going to the clinician. It's not their fault if you are running late, if you overslept, if you took too long to eat at breakfast and now you're running behind, or so you know, a little bit of compassion for the staff of the farm where you're at goes a long way. And I agree. Just telling somebody, oh, I'm gonna ride, save me a spot. That's actually opinion. That's rude. It's, you know, if they're telling you to reserve a spot by paying, you need to spot by paying, not by just saying, oh, well, just and just hold me a spot. That's very, very it's in my opinion, it's just rude. You know, this is a stressful experience, you know, hosting a clinic, being that organizer, and it's so helpful, like you said, when people have their paperwork and their payment in and they're on time and they're polite. And, you know, ask, as you mentioned, ask the barn manager or the clinic organizer, can I bring some bottles to help out? Can I bring some donuts in the morning, or, you know, whatever. Baked goods. I like baked goods.
Exactly. Or ask what the rules are. Definitely any way that you can help out, because really we should all work as a team to make it happen. Even for the first clinic that you've attended.
Yeah. How's the internet? I think we're both flickering. So who may have joined late or who are, you know, well, I almost lost myself there. Connections are sketchy at best. I see flipping in and out, kind of flipping in and out. We're gonna check the radar here, getting ready to get a tornado.
Oh, really? It's just raining heavily here. No tornadoes.
Yeah, I'm sure we were going to have pretty heavy rains tonight. So looks fine on radar. Oh, yeah, just raining a lot. Well, hopefully we'll keep on. So that was a bit of a sidebar, just making sure we're still on here. But so let's see, all ideas. We've crossed on a lot of them, but anything else you can think of? You know, like you mentioned, the rules of the farm where you're going.
Yeah.
The staff on the farm, obviously the clinician, other clinician or other riders. I know where I was going with this is, if you can, you know, get up if you're staying in a hotel or whatever, even if you're, you know, you're leaving your horse there and you're traveling back to your own home, get there early and watch as many other riders ride as you can and really utilize that learning experience, right?
Yeah, bring a tablet of paper and write it down. There's so many great ideas, so many new techniques that you can learn. Of course, remember that when the clinician is working with someone, you know, that's for that horse and rider. So take everything with a grain of salt and really see if it applies to you or not. And there's so much to learn.
Absolutely. And so what are, you know, what has your experiences been as far as being allowed to have someone videotape your with a clinician? Have you clinicians that are like, you know, I need to be paid more money to be able to videotape my teacher. Has that ever been a problem?
Most most clinicians are very open to the videotaping. I've had 2 clinicians that were not, and one actually both specifically said that they do not want anyone videotaping, which is really, really hard to do because then it ended up, it was videotaped, and this was like 10 years ago, and then it was put on a dressage forum, and actually I was one of the riders, and it was wild that I was being critiqued, and I know I'm a professional, but I specifically asked that no one video, and to have someone pop it up and the whole world was critiquing it was a little frustrating, and the clinician found out, and they never wanted to come back again. So unfortunately, that's what happened. But I don't have control. I mean, I can't take everyone's phone away. So that's actually what happened. They had a phone and they videoed it and they popped it up even after I asked everyone not to video. So it was rather unfortunate. So I think definitely ask first. And if the barn owner says no, or the clinician, and most of the time it's the clinician saying they don't want to be videoed.
Right.
And just be open to that. Don't video. Some clinicians actually believe it's more of a verbal language, and they don't want to be videoed. They don't want anything written down, and that we should learn it verbally. And that's just their policy. So, uh-oh, I've lost you. Hey, can you hear me at all? I don't. You are totally frozen.
Hang on.
You're back. Yay!
I don't know what's going on. It's just bad weather.
Oh, well, is there any other points that we should get out there, or should we call it a day?
We're all, but I do thing, and we'll try to be aware that the taking your dog and your small children and letting them run loose while you're at a clinic is not
Please don't do that.
Yeah, it's really it's unfair to everybody else who is there to ride and to listen and take notes, as you said. You know, and you know, and I know a lot of people think it's no big deal, but it's not. That is not a place where you take your, you know, a child. You need to bring a babysitter if you've got a young kid. It's not you know, anybody else in the auditor. It's not the barn staff responsibility to watch your child or your dog. So that is not cool. That is rude. And that's all I'll say. But yeah, experienced it, and you know, where we were kind of warbling it. Another the videotaping thing, people need to understand as well, especially now in today's age in the United States, where you and I are, videotaping children and then putting on the internet is somewhat protected by federal law and is generally not a good idea, especially if it's not your child. Now, if you're the parent, that's one thing, but people need to be aware that there are some federal laws. And, you know, as a YouTube person and the other YouTube creators on here have to understand there are some pretty significant federal violations and offenses and fees and jail terms that can happen for people who, you know, maybe are going to a horse show because they're just going to videotape a class and throw it on YouTube and let the whole world critique it, or TikTok or whatever, Facebook. So this is maybe something Megan isn't necessarily. I am a YouTube creator. If you are not the parent, you should not be videotaping children. Huge no-no. But even, you know, young adults under the age of 18, if you don't have their permission, don't do it. You can get yourself in a world of trouble in that regard. So if you are videotaping and you're trying to videotape the whole clinic, get the permission of the riders as well as the clinician, because there's nothing more hard than writing and going, who is videotaping me and why are they videotaping me? I don't know who they are and why are they videotaping me? So, you know, it's courtesy to get, you know, permission from the riders who maybe don't know who you are, but as well as the clinician, obviously. So
for sure. And I think it's really helpful when there is a photographer or there's a videographer there, and then you can just buy the CD, and then you have it on record. It's really awesome when that happens. But, you know,
and
I think
the keyword there being buy the images or the video, not steal the copyrighted images, because I see that on social media. People, you get proofs from the official photographer, and they'll have a watermark on it that'll say this is a proof, and they plaster it all over, and that is actually illegal. Oh, because the image is copyrighted. It's copyrighted, and if it says proof on it, it's not. You haven't paid to use it and plaster it all over your social media. So those people are working hard, and pay them for their service. Like you're paying the clinician for their service. So
yeah, you definitely want to support them, and clinics are such a great opportunity for learning, a great opportunity to get your horse out, gain confidence. I love clinics. I love learning. I love getting out as much as possible. So, you know, you definitely want to keep it positive and fun and upbeat.
Yeah, and if you can't ride in them, go audit them. Go watch and learn, like you said. So, haven't seen anybody with any questions. I think we're having some connectivity issues. We're going to try to wrap this up at the 1 hour mark. But I just want to ask, you know, we do have a bunch of people out there who are watching. Apologizing for our connection issues again. We're having some inclement weather. Both of us are kind of fighting some tricky internet connections here. But if you do have any questions, please go ahead, throw them in the live chat. And like I said at the beginning, we're generally about 30 seconds behind on the live chat because Megan and I are both logged into YouTube through this StreamYard program. So it takes about 30 to 60 seconds for your chat to show up for us to see. But you know, now's your chance if you got any questions for Megan on this. You know, and the other thing is we would also love to know any more, you know, any topics you want us to cover in a future live stream as well. We would, you know, love to hear what you're interested in hearing from us on. We're trying to do this once a week. I have a feeling, Megan, you are now in show season. This is our second Tuesday doing this. Are we thinking that we're going to be switching to Tuesday nights from Thursday nights just due to the horse show season kicking off?
Well, I can go back to Thursdays. Oh, well, I think it's going to be hit or miss. Yeah. I'll be honest. Tuesdays might look better than Thursdays.
Yeah, so it is summer where we're at. It's horse show season. Finally, across the nation, pandemic's kind of died down a little bit. We're trying to get out and people trying to run a business and do things. So, yeah, we'll try to schedule these. There could be weeks where we're missing. It could be due, you know, cranked up on your business. So appreciate
I'm losing you.
Taking. Are you losing us?
I'm losing you. I can see you, but you freeze. You know, but it's a lot of fun to have these conversations. So yeah, anyone who has any ideas, happy to talk about them.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't see any comments coming through. Any final words on clinicking? Like I always tell, I was just mentioning, if you can't go ride, go walk, go pay to audit. Be okay with paying to audit. You're helping to pay to bring that clinician in, and it shouldn't necessarily be free for you to come in and learn. You know, it's like going to university. You need to pay for your class. So
Yeah, and definitely don't wait. Go. Don't, I need to, I hear a lot of people that are like, oh, I got to keep working for I need to get 2 months and work on this and then I'll be ready for the clinic. Oh no, you're ready for the clinic now. Go learn, have fun, enjoy it.
yeah, you don't need to think that you need to go ride in a clinic, because what do you learn? You're perfect at everything, right? What's the point? So that's when you go to a horse show. If you're going to be perfect, you might as well go to a horse show so you can show everybody how perfect you are. But
Yep.
well, thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Before we lose you, quickly let everybody know what's your social media, how should they contact you, what's your website, etc.
Okay, the website is lindinhof.com. I'm on Facebook. Check me out on Lindinhof Equine Sports Centrum. If you'd like to personally contact me, my number is 608-445-8531, or you can email me at lindenhofllc@gmail.com. So happy to help anybody who needs it. So please give me a call or a text. Thank you.
And we will make information below in the description box. It might already be there. We have a YouTube channel where you're posting occasionally riding videos, show horses. So out on YouTube.
All
Can you hear me?
No.
What's your YouTube channel?
Lindinhof 1. Check us out.
Okay,
Lindinhof 1. Yep.
All right. So thanks, everybody. We're going to wrap this up. Just an hour here. Since we're having activity issues, we might as well wrap it up. I appreciate everybody came in and coming. Our 2 super channers, super stickers. Check out Connor JC's channel. Appreciate Connor so much. And then, of course, our other super sticker came from Dave. His channel is really amazing and awesome. He's got some really, really cool videos. I totally recommend checking them all out. Hit their subscribe button, click the bell so that you're notified on all their new uploads. Megan, you and I are going to talk about the next date that we're going to do this, and I will try to get a date and a live stream set up so that we've got a little bit of a bookmark on YouTube. But appreciate you taking your time tonight, and hope you can keep your head above all the water coming our way.
Right back at you. Watch out for the tornado. Thank you so much for having me on. Talk to you later next week. Bye.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. I'll let Megan go. Yep. Thank you, everybody, for coming into the stream. Wrap this up tonight. For those of you coming back to watch this, appreciate that you watched it to the end. I appreciate all my people that are on right now, who and Connor and Heather. I know Denise is on. Whoever else is hiding in the background, Nikki, if you're still there, thanks guys so much. We will go ahead and bring this to a close. But before I do, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. You will always be notified of all my new uploads. As always, please, when you get a chance to watch my videos, please don't have an ad blocker on. Help support the channel. Let YouTube run its ads. Appreciate that so much. But you guys have a great night, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye, guys. Thanks, everybody. Bye, Connor. Bye, Heather.